Hi, welcome back. I can't believe quarter 1 has already ended. I hope you had an opportunity to look at the progress you've made with respect to your personal development plan. In case you are a leader, managing a team, and if you want to use this time to run a retrospective to reflect on the progress you have made in the quarter 1, please feel free to reach out. On a personal note, I'm very excited to share that I have restarted playing badminton with my buddies, and I have also started a new series on LinkedIn about building a coaching culture at work. If you haven't been following my posts, please do visit my profile and check them out. So joining me today is my colleague Umit Bhatia, who is based out of Gurugram, India. Before we start this conversation, I want to clarify one thing, that whatever inputs or opinions Umit would be sharing on this podcast today should be considered her own and in no way should be related to the organization that she works for. So welcome Umit, thank you for joining us today and thank you for accepting my invitation for this podcast.
Thank you, Neeraj. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. Do you want to quickly start with a quick introduction about yourself?
Yes, Neeraj, thank you so much for the opportunity.
Most welcome.
My name is Umit Bhatia. I'm a daughter, a wife, and a mother to a young adult. My son is doing computer engineering. It's his first year of graduation at HKUST. And I was born in Shahjahanpur, which is actually not even a tier 2 city. It's a tier 3 city, I would say. But I was just a year old when I moved to Nagpur, where my basic schooling happened.
Okay.
My education was free because that was the time when, in Maharashtra, they were promoting education, free education for girls.
Oh, really?
And which is where I studied for free.
Okay.
My basic schooling. I moved to Kanpur and completed my high school and senior secondary over there and the college as well. I've been working immediately after my graduation as in terms of full-time employment. But I was supporting my family. We weren't very well off financially, so I've been supporting them financially since I was in 9th standard. So I kind of self-funded my college education.
Okay.
And that's been the start of my journey.
And I'm sure you and your parents both would be very proud seeing you where you are today, right?
They are.
Excellent.
Full gratitude for that.
Excellent. So understand you have a passion for singing, right?
Yeah.
So tell us more about that.
So I was blessed to have a child, I am blessed to have a child rather, who has always been independent.
Okay.
I haven't had the need to spend extra time with him in terms of making him sit to do his studies or eat food or do something which, generally parents, take a lot of pain in making their kids do.
Yeah.
And there were times when I used to feel, like maybe I'm less of a mother, or maybe I'm not a good mother because I'm not doing all that which my friends were actually doing for their kids. But then I realized that my son is, I think, quite independent and he doesn't need all that. He does it all by himself. That is when I thought my responsibilities are kind of, addressed now. And now is the time for me to pursue my passion.
Excellent.
So when I was in Nagpur, there was a time when I had picked up Hindustani classical music as training. This was in 3rd or 4th standard and I used to go to a teacher who used to teach me that. But then I was in day boarding and with studies it was becoming difficult to continue. From there to now, until about 2017 or so, that's when I picked it up again.
Excellent. It also brings me to another curiosity. I mean, why did you not make it a full-time profession for yourself?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. A lot of people say that you should pursue something as a profession that you enjoy doing, you love doing. But I have a different perspective on this.
Okay.
I think one should keep their passion and profession separately.
Okay.
Your passion should be your gateway of, going, it should be seen as a stress buster, going to that place where you can just de-stress and forget about your chores and you're not in a rat race, you're not doing something to make money, to get bread on your table. Your profession is something that's getting that.
Absolutely.
But passion is something that's just keeping you calm, composed.
And I think it reminds me of a very, well-known concept called Ikigai. It says there are 4 quadrants. First is, what is it that you are good at? Second quadrant is, what is it that you can be paid for? Third is, what is it that the world needs today? So, I mean, it connects me somehow to it. I mean, you said there should be a difference between passion and profession. You have to, at the end of the day, I mean, think about whether this can help me earn money also, or get that food on the table for my family.
Absolutely.
Excellent. And I was also, checking online about yourself, and I think you've also authored a book, right?
That's right.
So do you want to share with us, what it is about, what is the title, and what are some of the key learnings people can get, if they read your book?
So this is not a fiction book. It's a book in the academia.
Okay.
And this just got published last year.
All right.
And I was fortunate enough to get this opportunity to do this as a part of my profession. What I do currently is I customize sustainability and corporate ESG strategies for anyone who's struggling to understand what they're doing, or have probably ideated but are struggling to progress further and meet their vision statement in terms of their agenda.
Okay.
That's what I do as a part of my profession. And this is when, academia, the Amity University and RICS school reached out to me and they said, would you like to give few chapters, contribute to few chapters into this?
Okay.
So in spite of me not having the doctor title, not being a PhD holder, still I got this opportunity and I contributed 2 chapters. The book is called Handbook of Construction Management.
All right.
And it is meant for master's level students across the globe.
Okay.
And this was published by Springer. It focuses on the developing and emerging nations in Southeast Asia.
All right.
And the 2 chapters that I've contributed are one on the implementing ESG sustainability and net zero strategies in construction management, and the other one is on risk monitoring.
All right. So if our audience has to get this book, where all can they find it?
It's there on Amazon.
Okay.
And otherwise also hard copy also you can purchase from Amazon.
All right. Do you want to share the title of the book again so that they can...
It's called Handbook of Construction Management.
Handbook of Construction Management, guys, in case you're looking for one, and you can find it on Amazon. Yeah, that's right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. So since I'm a coach, I'm curious to ask you, how has been your experience with the coaching? Or have you ever been coached by someone, Umit?
I have been coached by someone, but at that point in time, I didn't know the meaning of coaching.
Okay.
It just happened for me, It's like you look up to someone and you are connecting with that person at a level where you are able to share your situations, seek guidance on those, and reflect on it. How differently a situation could have been handled.
Exactly.
So, coach. There are so many coaches in oblivion, not with the title of coach, but yes. Just by virtue of their presence in my life, I think they played a wonderful coach to me. And I still look up to them and reach out to them whenever I'm in a situation which I'm finding it difficult to navigate.
Okay.
So that's when I reach out to them.
Okay.
But there have also been wonderful leaders in my lifetime, Neeraj, who have played excellent roles. So while my coach has helped me understand, myself.
Yeah.
My leaders have, helped me understand how the world is and how do I fit in that world. So that is the difference that they have brought in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Excellent. Any particular leader or mentor who's left a lasting impression on your life?
So many of them. I wouldn't want to name one, and
Okay.
I'd honestly miss on mentioning any one name. So
Okay, fair enough.
So there have been so many people who have left an impacting impression on my life.
And when we were getting started, we were talking about AI, and we are in AI-driven world, right? So is there any particular skill that you feel our, younger colleagues could be looking at developing at this moment?
Younger colleagues, yes, and also older colleagues.
Okay.
Not just younger colleagues.
Sure.
So older colleagues need to upskill themselves. I'll start with us, first. Charity begins at home, and then let's talk about the younger generation.
Sure.
So we need to upskill ourselves in terms of how to use AI. We're a little reluctant, some of us, in terms of, we feel that, you're not thinking enough, you can't think yourself, you don't know it, which is why you're relying on AI. But that's not the case, actually. And I have very difficult conversations with my son on this.
Okay.
And I understand, but end of the conversation, he convinces me with his logic, with his rationale, and so I use AI. And
Sure.
The younger generation, though, while there's no harm. You should use AI, you should use GPT, but the ability to think deep into it and have that knowledge quotient, study well to understand what are the right questions to ask,
Absolutely.
how much
Prompts
to
are-
challenge,
Exactly.
when some information, it's not about the lack of information, but it is more about overflow of information.
Exactly.
If you're asking a question, is Umit good?
Yeah.
The GPT will answer, oh yes, Umit is excellent, good. But if you flip the question and say, is Umit bad? GPT will respond, give you the response in the same manner.
Exactly.
So unless you ask the question in a way and you have the ability, the knowledge quotient to then challenge the response and just filter out on what's not relevant and what's relevant,
Yep.
that's the difference, I think. So the judgment is
Yeah.
something which never goes off. It's too human and you need to have the knowledge quotient to be able to do that.
Very good point, Umit, because
Yeah.
a lot of times I've seen people, they're just giving a prompt to the AI, chat GPT, and whatever output is coming, just taking it, forward.
Yeah.
So applying that judgment is very important. I mean,
absolutely.
using that filter of your own knowledge to see whether the information I have received or I want to further filter, for a better outcome.
Correct.
Excellent, excellent. So, Umit, before we end this conversation today, do you want to share any key advice or one piece of advice for our listeners today?
I think that comes naturally from my learnings as well.
Okay.
One, don't outsource your thinking.
Okay.
Use AI to accelerate your work, but keep the judgment to yourself. But at the same time, when dealing with humans, have an acceptance for every human being in your life.
Okay.
Not each person would play how you play. So just have an acceptance for each human being in your life. Their situations could be very different. How they react or behave in certain situations can be very different from how
Absolutely.
you would in the same situation.
Yeah.
That's all circumstantial. So just have an acceptance in life for everyone.
Excellent. You've reminded me of 3 rules that I follow in my own coaching space. First is we are all human beings. Do you agree to this?
Absolutely.
Second is we all have a certain background or history. The way I have been brought up versus the way you have been brought up. If as siblings we don't think in a similar fashion, how can we expect our colleagues or friends to think like us in office or outside
Correct.
office, right? So let's accept each other. Third one is we all have a purpose in life. How do we support each other, get closer to our purpose?
Yeah.
Yeah?
True.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Neeraj.
Thank you, Umit. Before we wrap up, I just want to share one thing from today's conversation, that humble beginnings don't hold you back. They shape how far you can go. So if this episode resonated with you, please do share it with someone who need to hear it today. And please do not forget to follow my podcast channel so that you don't miss these conversations like these in future. So Umit, thank you once again for joining me on this podcast today and sharing your story. And thanks to all our listeners today for giving us their time. So keep moving forward and keep believing in what's possible. And I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you.